All right, so let's check out this VaatiVidya Elden Ring lore explained. VaatiVidya is like one of the goated Dark Souls-born Sekiro YouTubers. And for him to have a lore video 30 minutes long out already, that's pretty nutty.
Our story doesn't begin in the lands between.
Okay.
It begins in the cosmos, far away, with an outer god called the Greater Will. There are a lot of outer gods mentioned in Elden Ring. You can think of these kind of like the great ones of Bloodborne.
Whoa.
They're distant beings. They're all
Spoilers.
powerful and they're quite... But many of these outer gods want to make their presence felt in the world. The Greater Will, maybe most of all. To this end, it sent a golden star hurtling towards the lands between. The Elden Star's incantation tells us that this golden star was bearing a beast. An Elden beast. The Elden Remembrance calls it a vassal beast of the Greater Will.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, fittingly, then the Elden Ring is housed within the Erd Tree, which towers over the lands between.
And its roots extend everywhere.
It's very important to stress that life in the lands between did not begin with the Erd Tree, the Elden Ring, or the Elden Beast. No, the lands between were occupied well before the Greater Will came. There were other beings here. There were other factions here. There were other gods here, and there was even another great tree here before the Erd Tree.
Wait, what?
And this is where a huge twist regarding the Erd Tree
Holy
comes
shit.
in. So, there are incantations in the game called Aspects of the Crucible. They are an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. But how could all life be blended together in the Erd Tree if the Erd Tree appeared after life existed? Well, there can only be one answer, right? That the Erd Tree is a parasite, and it took over a tree that existed here before.
Whoa.
This ancient tree was called the Great Tree. So the Great Tree was almost certainly the location of this primordial crucible, and...
Okay, so that's a theory. That's a theory. There's not hard evidence of that, though. That's an extrapolation based off of an item description, then. But that makes sense given the underparts of the Erd Tree being something that look far bigger. I mean, well, no, the Erd Tree is massive, so...
It must have been a very powerful primordial force for the Greater Will to have commandeered. It might even be the reason the lands between is important to the Greater Will in the first place. Enemies related to the Crucible are the Omen, the Misbegotten, and the Crucible Knights, and all three of them would be shunned, enslaved, or imprisoned. Those who speak for the Erd Tree don't want you to know its roots, so to speak. According to the spell, protection of the Erd Tree, in the beginning everything was in opposition to the Erd Tree.
Yeah!
But through countless victories in war, it became the embodiment.
Yeah, I read that one, yeah.
In Marika's own words, the Erd Tree governs all.
But the Greater Will needed more than a big tree. It needed loyal agents in the lands between.
Very disgusting.
To this end, it has the Two Fingers, who are its envoys. The Two Fingers heirloom has a weird picture of them, but it reads, "Of course, fingers cannot speak, yet these are eloquent. Persistently they wriggle, spelling out mysteries in the air. Thus did we gain the words of our faith." These words are interpreted by the finger readers. These are the undying old crones that you would have found throughout the lands between. They pass down the wisdom of the Two Fingers, or at least they used to.
Your fingers, please, your fingers. I can read them.
Most of them appear to have lost their purpose, and they're desperate to read your fingers and tell you annoying riddles, since their two fingers are likely dead. And yes, of course, there are multiple sets of two fingers. You would have found their corpses on the tops of the divine towers. Atop these towers, you use the fingers in order to activate the true power of a great rune.
How did I never put two and two together there? Pun not at all intended. No, I saw that they were fingers, right? But I never realized that they all had two. Like, I never drew the connection of like, oh, they're all of them. Literally all of them have two.
Specifically, though, you are giving benediction back to your great rune. You're taking a blessing back from the two dead fingers, essentially.
Oh.
This is just one of many blessings that the two fingers can bestow, and my point is kind of that the two fingers clearly have more than just influence. They have real power. on some level.
Shit.
The Greater Will needs these powerful envoys and agents because, while it's obviously incredibly powerful, it does seem limited by a few things. First is space. The Greater Will didn't come to the lands between itself, it sent an elden beast to do its bidding
Yeah, I
instead.
definitely got that vibe,
Second
yeah.
is time. So the Greater Will
Shit.
needs a physical manifestation of order. It needs envoys to convey its will, but what it also needs is a god. Introducing Marika the Eternal.
Here we go.
I have this
Whoa!
utterly enormous mind map of
Whoa!
Elden Ring's lore, and
Whoa! Vaati! Never show how the sausage has been made. Never show them. Let them wonder. Keep it vague. Holy shit.
enormous mind map of Elden Ring's lore, and there's a reason she's at the center. She's essentially the equivalent of Gwyn from Dark Souls, except unlike Gwyn,
I definitely got
Marika
that
didn't
vibe.
just crawl out of the dark and find power. To an extent, it seems like she earned it. We
Or
don't know much about her origins,
or stole
except
it.
that she is of the Newman race, which is
Oh,
actually an origin that
yeah.
you can choose in the character selection screen.
Okay.
Newman come from outside the lands between, and are supposed descendants of denizens of another world. At some point, Marika was chosen as an Empyrean. What is an Empyrean? Well, an Empyrean is a being chosen by the Fingers as a candidate for godhood. As an Empyrean,
Right,
Marika
yeah.
received the aid of a shadow to do her bidding. So what is a shadow? Well, it's a wolf, shadow-bound to its Empyrean by the
cool.
two Fingers. Luna Princess
Malekith.
Rani is another example of an Empyrean with a shadow-bound beast that would have met Blythe.
Oh!
These creatures are the Empyrean's very own shadow. Marika's shadow was a beast called Malekith. Every Empyrean uses their shadow in different ways, but Marika's sole need of her shadow was as a vessel to lock away destined death. So what is destined death? Well, according to Enya, it's the rune of death. We mentioned earlier that the Elden Ring is made up of runes, and at some point, maybe when she was chosen as a god, Marika plucked the rune of death from the Elden Ring. She gave the rune of death to Malekith,
Yep.
her totally loyal shadow, who bore a black blade imbued with this rune. It's kind of genius, really. In a single act, she removed the concept of death from the lands between, while also commanding total control of death through her shadow, who could deliver it at her whim. Now, some of you might be asking, if death is removed from the lands between, how come I can kill this dog? First off, shame on you. Second, however, Marika had more than just death to conquer. She had wars to fight, as the world
Yeah.
was occupied by many forces that could threaten her golden order.
Lots of
There
creatures,
was war with the
factions,
Storm
and
Lord,
stuff.
who likely ruled over Stormvale. And there was a war with the Giants, who were masters of a
Sure.
flame that could burn the Erd Tree. There was war with the ancient dragons, who
Of
incidentally
course.
had stones that could twist time and thus slay a god. And finally,
What?
there was an Elden Lord.
Yeah.
The man chosen was Horalu, a ferocious warrior who became known as the Lord of the Battlefield. His crown was warranted with strength, and while it was for this strength that Marika married him, he was also required to take a vow to conduct himself as a lord. To suppress the ceaseless lust for battle that raged within, Horalu took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back. You'll notice this is another example of a beast being given for the purpose of serving order.
Like a shadow,
Thus,
yeah.
in this moment, he went from being Horalu, warrior, to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, consort to Queen Marika, and a
Yeah.
certified demigod. Godfrey
Shit.
and Marika had 3 demigod children together.
Yep.
There was Godwyn the Golden, who you saw being
Dead.
killed in the opening trailer, and there were also the reviled Omen twins, Morgoth,
Ah.
who guards the Erd Tree, and Moog, who became Lord of Blood. One by one, the previous factions of the world fell. Stormvale was conquered, and the Storm Lord was defeated. The giants were put to the sword, and their fell god was killed by Marika herself. The
Oh,
ancient
damn.
dragons broke down the walls of Leyndell, but met fierce retaliation. However, I think the House of the Erd Tree encountered the most trouble against the
Yes.
lands to their southwest. The Erd
Yep. This is the part I'm most interested in terms of Vaati kind of explaining here, because we have this whole thing, basically the whole potential thing of if we have Marika and Ratagon, but they're the same person, how did Marika cheat on themselves as Ratagon going over there to sire kids, like it's a whole thing, and I can't wait to hear him get into that, because that seems like the part where it's gonna be whack.
Because there was not just one but two wars fought here.
Oh,
in both
shit.
Of these, there was no victory for the Golden nor for the Moon.
Oh, so they were
I
evenly
suspect
matched.
It was probably because of these lobsters. These damn things can snipe you from like a mile away, and it's bullshit. Actually, it was probably because of the Carrier Knights, who, according to their weapons, were able to... At the head of this great golden army was Ratagon.
Oh,
Lord Ratagon was a great champion when he met Lady Renala in battle.
These two champions clashed, fell in love, and joined their houses.
Okay. So it could have been the thing where Marika goes in and basically needs to lead personally the army, right? Thus takes the form of Ratagon to be basically the champion that's just someone that's, very confident and competent in fighting, but no one immediately goes, that's Marika, we gotta kill her, It's just the general leading the army, what have you.
At some point after this, Marika began to harbor doubts. Doubts about the Golden Order that she had had a hand in creating.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased. Those
Whoa.
blissful early days of blind belief are
Whoa.
long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
I missed a lot of opportunities to talk to Melina. Holy shit, I missed a lot of opportunities to talk with her. Because these are just times you sit at a grace point, right?
And it's at this point that we should talk about Marika's motivations.
Yes.
Character.
Cool.
This is surely going to be one of those huge points of debate in the coming years.
Okay.
But for now,
So there's no
my
super
working
clear
theory
picture.
is that she wanted to discover the truth behind order and the truth behind the greater will, and she believed that bonds had to be broken so that they could be better understood. She believed that there was great meaning to be found in hardship.
Queen Marika has high hopes for us, that we continue to struggle unto eternity.
For Lord Godfrey, his struggle ended at the end of his campaigns. According to his armor, he led the war against the giants, faced the Storm Lord alone.
Yeah.
And then there came a moment
The life
when his
basically
last
left
worthy
him.
enemy
Yeah.
fell. And it
Yeah.
was then, as the story is told, that the hue of Lord Godfrey's eyes faded.
Okay. I think I know what they're hinting at here. In order to have some element of understanding and truth of what's, beyond this, order that Marika is perpetuating, she instigated the chaos, basically. Manipulated events in such a way so that Ronnie would essentially make things happen with the death rune. Then basically starts to move everything in such a way to where we can take this story a little bit more cosmic, and that's if they ever do Elden Ring 2 or DLC, that's probably what they're going to start hinting at. Because we didn't actually kill God. And this is really funny, but in some ways we were killing gods constantly, like throughout the game. But when we came to the final end of it, we stopped killing gods and we killed someone's dog, basically. Someone's guard dog for the lands between.
In truth, he was robbed of his grace. Then Marika sent him away.
My lord,
Demigods aren't gods? Exactly. Demigods are just bigger dogs.
But Queen Marika absolutely had a plan here, that Lord Godfrey and his descendants would one day
They'd come
return
back.
stronger,
Yeah, that makes
having
sense.
struggled outside of grace.
then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed. Return to the lands between, wage war, and brandish the Elden Ring.
Oh,
Grow
shit.
strong in the face of death.
Oh, shit.
Warriors of my lord, Lord Godfrey.
Soon after, she found a new husband. Either that or a new husband was found for her.
When Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Ratagon left Rennala to return to the Erdtree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort.
Such convenient timing.
The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Ratagon would cast Rennala aside.
Here we go.
And moreover,
tell me, Vaati.
Why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord.
The Queen's set reads, when Rennala, head of both the Academy of Raya Lucaria and the Carian royal family, lost her husband Ratagon, her heart went along with him. And then those at the Academy realized that Rennala was no champion after all.
Okay.
And it's here, during the age of the Erdtree, that Lunar Princess Rani, daughter of Rennala and Ratagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
A fragment of it,
It
that's right.
happened
Yeah.
during the golden age of the Erdtree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade.
As mentioned previously,
Yeah,
Malekith was
Malekith has
Marika's
it.
shadow, and he had sealed destined death in a black blade.
So yeah, I think I get what Vaati's like setting up here. Malekith like has that full thing with the cutscene where he's got it like on his like hand or what have you, and then he pulls it out of like a portal or what have you. So it's not even able to be accessed. So the idea that Rani could actually steal it through any reasonable means, the way Ratagon at the very least positioned himself or themselves in this whole situation, completely ended the threat of Liurnia because it put them into a place of civil war. So either Marika and Ratagon by extension are some cold motherfuckers, or something changed, like something switched within Marika and or Ratagon at that point.
Then a fragment, only a fragment, of this Rune of Death was stolen. And once this happened, Malekith went a step further in protecting destined death. He bound the blade within his own flesh.
Oh, he did that
such
after.
None might rob death.
Oh, okay.
It was too late, however. This fragment of the Rune of Death was used immediately, that night, to kill a demigod, Marika's own son, Godwyn the Golden. There is a lot of really credible evidence that Marika was behind this plot to have a fragment of the Rune of Death stolen. There's also a ton of evidence that Marika is behind the entirety of your tarnished quest, but we'll talk about that in another video. For now,
okay, cool.
All you really need to know,
so he's on the same
timeline, at least, is this.
We're on the same
After
page,
marriage
Vaati.
of Marika and Ratagon, and after a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen, Marika went on to shatter the Elden Ring, and Ratagon attempted to repair it, to no avail. The Elden Ring had been broken into runes, some great and some small. But order wasn't the only thing that was getting forced back together.
Okay.
It's said that Lord Ratagon harbored a secret.
Yes.
A famed sculptor of
This was so
Erdtree
cool.
capital was once summoned to render Lord Ratagon's likeness in giant stature, when he glimpsed the skeleton in Ratagon's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret too.
Of course, the huge twist in Elden Ring is that Ratagon is Marika, or depending on what you believe, he became her. For she knew it was going to happen.
In Marika's own words,
Oh.
O Ratagon, leal hound of the Golden Order, thou art yet to become me.
Yet
Thou
to
art
become.
Yet to become a god.
Whoa.
Let us be shattered, both. Mine other self.
You can tell when From Software is keeping something a little bit open-ended, and of everything in Elden Ring's lore, this will also go on to be one of the biggest unknowns as we move forward. For example, the wording, thou art yet to become me, reinforces that Marika and Ratagon were two separate entities before
At some
the
point,
shattering.
yeah.
However, in contrast, there is also evidence that Ratagon was always part of Marika. For example, Enya says that
The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
But how can this be if Ratagon married Renala and had those demigod children? The only way that makes sense is if Ratagon was always Marika and he just went over there to seduce Renala long ago.
I really like this. Okay, so he's going to do probably more video content and stuff on this and go a little bit more in depth into the family fuckery side of things there. Ratagon definitely felt like to me basically a form. A form that was very much one of those 2-in-1 scenarios that we had multiple iterations of that kind of aspect of throughout the game. Like there are a lot of characters that share basically another half to them, like someone that basically encapsulates that other essence, and yet they're not the same person, but they kind of are. Like that's very much a thing I would say throughout the game. So maybe Ratagon is a part of Marika that she divested from herself. Like she actually like forcibly separated it, and thus it's not a full god. You know, it's not a full being in that regard. But it still is Marika essentially. But that could be why when Marika destroys the Elden Ring, Ratagon is like, no, let's repair it. Like let's repair it. Like because that whole concept of I'll destroy it, but then they're like, no, I'm gonna fix it. That creates that form of conflict, and then you have in that aspect the order and chaos. So maybe in trying to understand what's at the heart of the order, Marika like removed that part of her that was order and like actually like forcibly like took it out to just like study it or analyze it or what have you. Ratagon's crosshatch symbol is the rune of order that goes behind the Elden Ring as a whole. Yep. Yeah. That's the vibe I'm getting. He's a being of order that came from Marika. Thus, he is not subservient to Marika in essence. It's kind of like, you remember Father in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood? It's kind of the idea of having created a being that is of your essence, but carries like a specific sin of yours. Like that's essentially what I feel like Ratagon is that he is the order within Marika, because Marika began to doubt order, and then after that, that's when Ratagon shows up. And Ratagon was the one that was sent to go restore order in Liurnia, or to enforce order. Thus, we have this whole situation. Maybe at the heart of the aspects there, Marika then is like, oh, okay, you're gonna betray me, do this whole thing there. That's fine. I'll call upon you later. And maybe at that point, Ratagon had no choice but to follow the order, basically.
At any rate, the union of Ratagon and Marika seems to be a union of two fundamental opposing laws of the Golden Order. We mentioned these laws earlier.
Regression and causality, okay.
There's the law of causality, and Marika is an agent of cause and effect. And there's the law of regression, as Ratagon is a character who aspires to be complete and regress together. So I have a theory that forcing these two beings that represent these concepts together would have corrected Marika's deviance.
Okay.
Even so, she was imprisoned in the Erd Tree for the crime of the Shattering. One thing that helped me a lot was that we designed an enormous mind map with pretty much all of Elden Ring's lore, all of its item descriptions, all of its dialogues, all of the
enhance, Kowalski
that we can think of. We added all of this together, and it helped a ton in learning about the story and visualizing it all. I'm enjoying it so much.
Cool.
But now I'm gonna go and play the game a little bit because I've been editing this video for too long. So, see you next time.
Okay. Shit. Go over, give it a like. Like please give it a like and check it out if you haven't.